Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we're talking about Triage X. This was Rick's choice.
My random choice. I should probably point that out.
Sure. It was 10 episodes long. It came out in April 2015, ran all the way through June 2015. Producers for it were Dax Productions and Nippon Columbia with the studio of Xebec. The genres were action, adventure, Shounen, and Ecchi with a heavy emphasis on Ecchi. And I will let you know, this is definitely rated R if you're not watching it censored. Otherwise, you're just watching a giant cloud most of the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you watched it the way I watched it, it was very rated PG. Well, it was rated G.
It was, yeah. So, that was one of the key differences between Rick and I. I watched it uncensored.
I didn't know it was uncensored. I thought it was just regular because they opened the whole anime with essentially a shower scene. And I don't know how you like your shower, but I like my shower steaming hot. And so when they showed steam everywhere, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
No. In fact, when they're sitting there staring at the steam, if you're not watching it censored, you're watching it uncensored, there's very long pauses where they just drift down so you could see her chest and stomach, and that's it. It's like, so sitting there talking, that's all they're doing, taking a shower, and then it's like, oh, let's go back to the face because she's going to respond. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go back to the stomach and boobs.
Oh, jeez.
The easiest way to actually describe this is there's guns, boobs, and explosions. Not much more.
Yeah. And see, until you said that, until you brought to light my error, let's call it, because I might have to do more research later. My biggest gripe about this whole thing was it's unrealistic. But now that you tell me there's a whole new world to see, I might have to refrain and say it might be more realistic. I was thinking that. No. Consider this, right? How many doctors could there possibly be creating superhumans? Apparently a few, or at least in this anime. Or, more to the point, if there's so many agencies out there killing bad people, how many bad people are left? I'm like, it's so unrealistic that you've got like 5 ultra high level performing groups killing bad people because they're bad, right? Or on top of that, you've got detectives who know where to be, I guess. At times, they have really good instincts,
I guess.
And I was like, that's unrealistic to have so many bad guys still around. And now that you told me this, no, apparently gravity-defying tits are the most unrealistic version of this, because nobody in the anime is not as well endowed as a cow. So,
oh no, there are a couple that are pretty flat-chested comparatively speaking. Side characters. You only meet them like once or twice, but that's about it. But other than that, everyone else has these giant, massive titties just like sitting there slapping you in the face, sometimes literally.
Yeah. Oh, good. I was watching that with my girl, and she was like, the back problems these people must have.
My wife looked at me, and she goes, random, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I have to defend myself by saying it was completely random.
Yeah. So to kind of give you a understanding of what this show is about, other than just guns, boobs, and explosions with tons of more boobs and explosions and more boobs on top of that, it follows one of the characters, Arashi, and you have several other main characters, and ironically he's the only main male protagonist. The rest of them are women, and they're on a how would you best describe this? They're basically a vigilante organization bent on getting rid of, also known as killing, all the bad people in the world.
Well, I don't know if it's the world or just their city, because they don't really show much abroad.
Well, I mean, like for a team of it's kind of hard to go abroad. I mean, like with the resources of a doctor being their backing foundation.
Dude, after looking at this, I don't know, because you're right, they're very, very Batman-esque, very vigilante-esque as far as their resources go, because they have an entrance into this super high-tech building that is a rundown section of the city. And you're like, okay, this makes no sense. And then it opens up and you're like, wow, this is, $20.99.
Yeah. Futuristic, massive amount of money got poured into it. And everyone there are highly trained killers. And one of the things is how each of these characters, because you have Hitsugi, Arashi, Mikoto, Yuko, Oriha, Miki for the main characters. And each one of them are specialized in something different. Each one of them
died somehow.
And that's how they were all chosen. They all died and were brought back to life. But each one's also very specialized in their own form of fighting. So take Arashi, for example. He's not all there mentally, and he's highly trained in martial arts combat, I guess. And he's a marksman shooter.
Yeah.
And then you have Mikoto, who's a semi-marksman shooter, but is crazy good on a motorcycle. Like, the things that she could do on a motorcycle, no one in this world could do. Like, ride up a rope on your motorcycle, drive on hand railing on a motorcycle,
do a bunny hop from said railing onto the roof, which was at least a good 8-foot jump directly
minimum
up
on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Not only that, while you're on said roof, go 0 to 100 in 3 seconds, spin around someone so that way they get disoriented and don't know where you're actually coming from on a motorcycle. And then you have like Yuko. Yuko was a doctor, a nurse, and when she's getting ready to fight, her hair turns white and she can slice anything into two, just about anything.
Okay, I actually have a few reasons for everything we're going through here. Her specifically. Now, small confession, when I started watching this, I realized I had seen it before. At least I had seen the first 2 episodes. Here's the thing. I saw the censored version this time and last time. And last time, because of the censorship, I thought that the anime kind of sucked and stopped watching it. But apparently I was watching with kitty goggles on. That said, there is a reason that her hair changes color, and it's because inside her body are bits and pieces from somebody else. Like, she was injured and had to have like a major replacement surgery. And so the characteristics that she brings on is from that other person, such as in the same way that Asashi has the little kid. So Asashi's backstory is he was in a bombing. He and his best friend essentially were victims of an explosion. Asashi's body was torn to shreds. His friend's brain was destroyed. So they each had something the other needed. Asashi had a good brain, but his body was messed up, and his friend had a good body, but his brain was messed up. And the doctor was able to, I guess, not necessarily join the two, but cut away the bad from Asashi and replace it with the good from that boy. And in doing so, the psyche of that boy, I don't know if it's the psyche of the boy or the fact that Asashi lost his mind a little bit, but whenever he is in a situation, the boy is there talking to him. Now, what I don't understand is the boy actually sees stuff Asashi shouldn't.
Yeah. So the one thing about Arashi.
Sorry. Asashi, yeah.
One thing about Arashi is he looks badass. He looks awesome when he's wearing the mask, when he's wearing his helmet. When he's not, it looks like he's not all there. It looks like they skimped on the animation a little bit too. So he just looks.
It takes a lot of coloring crayons to create boobs that big. Come on now.
Like 90% of the budget went towards boobs.
Yeah.
All right. One of the other characters for this is Oriha, and she's actually an idol, a very famous one at that. Her specialty is explosions.
The bummer.
She explodes everything she can. And then finally, Mickey, her specialty, she's a sniper.
Yeah, I don't really know where Mickey got the accident from. They don't really go too much into her backstory or the bomber's backstory.
Yeah. They do talk about Sayo, or Hitsugi, rather. They talk about hers. Hers is actually, I would argue, one of the more tragic backstories.
I think it was hers. Well, okay. Without her story, the entire plot would not make sense.
Yeah.
So,
which is really sad considering that they had to rely on that to really bring in at least part of the plot. There was just so much going on in the show. There really isn't a great way to tie everything in together.
It felt very rushed. It felt, I mean, we're talking about an anime with gigantic boobs with great detail in here. Come on. They're not really going to rely too heavily on anything but the boobs. But
arguably, this anime was about 9 episodes long, with episode 10 technically being an OVA. Although they did come out with an OVA. I didn't watch it because I couldn't find it. But I know that there was an OVA, an episode 11, but
I never saw that either.
I think it had from what I read is the OVA deals more with Hitsugi and her backstory more so than anything else, from what I can tell.
Well, no one really cares about that, to be honest.
Yeah, because she didn't have giant boobs when she was a kid.
True, that makes sense. No, it still makes no sense. I still wouldn't care.
All right, well, whatever. You're just jelly.
Yeah. My boobs are not quite that big, so
you'll get there someday.
If I keep eating these s'mores. Anyway, the plot is essentially you've got a doctor. So the whole thing surrounds a vaccine and a cure. In the greatest grand scheme of things, that is the most base you can get. The doctor who is the head, when he was younger, was a traveling war doctor, essentially, mercenary doctor. He would go and he would fix people up. And he heard about this very primitive village doing complete body, like limb transplants successfully. And he's like, these people who are completely primitive are doing stuff that modern medicine can't. Let's go take a look. And he realizes that there's a ritual, and if you're chosen, you'll survive. If you're not chosen, you'll die. And what happens is you drink a black liquid that really messes you up. They do the surgery, and then you drink a red liquid, and you're okay again. Well, turns out they're poisoning themselves, and it throws their entire immune system out of whack and bolsters it, and just basically you've got super soldiers in your body. And they do the surgery, and it reduces the rejection of a limb or a rejection of a liver, heart, whatever, reduces that to almost nothing. And when you take the red liquid, it's essentially a vaccine for the poison they gave you. And the really interesting part is once you take the vaccine, you'll never be sick again, from what the story leads. I think it might have been a mistranslation. You'll never get sick from that particular virus again. But the way they read it, the way it was read was you'll never be sick again.
No. At least for the version that I watched, that the translation was they will never be sick from that virus again.
Okay. So essentially it's a one and done. You can only ever have the surgery once. Make it count.
Yeah.
Now, the really bad part, and this is what I forgive me, I'm going to butcher them. Hitsugagi, is that the one? The really strong girl? Hitsugi, yeah. So what was found about the virus is it greatly if there's nothing wrong with you and you take the virus, you go crazy, but you go stupid strong. Like your strength is crazy.
Well, what they did was, and they didn't say that it was specifically just the virus that was doing it. They had created a new compound from it called D99, and that's how they were able to start creating these super soldiers. And then the doctor who created this triage of individuals, the vigilante founder, wanted it all destroyed, and one of his sidekicks or his counterparts didn't want to stop it, and he continued to try and create it and use his own daughter, who happened to be Hitsugi, as the basis for his experimentation.
That makes a little bit more sense, because for some reason I thought the virus that they found was the 599. I didn't realize 599 was a byproduct of the virus.
D99 was a byproduct of the virus.
I was close. But I mean, it's really cool, but it drives you completely insane. And I think that the reason that I want to keep calling him Asagi.
Well, you can call him Mikami because that's part of his name. Arashi Mikami.
I'll just keep calling him Arashi then. So I think that's what happens with Arashi. He sees the little boy, his childhood best friend, because of the D99. That's the only thing I can think of. So it would also explain why Hitsugi was also a little bit on the crazy side and why she was able to regress as the story goes on. But it really doesn't explain. Okay, so supposedly the biggest bad guy was this really creepy guy who was looking for a shipment to come in. Lily-chan is what he called it. Do you know what was?
I forget the name of the drug, but it's supposed to basically make them like super soldiers, kind of, sorta, but also turns them all a little crazy at the same time. But he's not the only bad guy. He's not even the main bad guy. He's one of the bad guys.
He reminded me of like a politician.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to remind you of a politician. But you not only did you have that, but you had an entirely other organization called Syringe, which was basically the exact opposite of Triage X, which is what I'm assuming the name of their organization, because they never even state what their organization is.
That's true.
All anyone ever actually refers to them as are black labels, because they go when they're going out there to kill people, to kill the bad people, they call them a malignant tumor on society, and that they've been assigned a level 0 black label, and that they're dead.
Yeah, essentially to be cut out. A lot of their operations, all the words and stuff, are essentially like operating things, like operating terms.
Which makes sense, because the founder, the guy, he's a doctor. So why not?
Well, I mean, I guess it makes sense, and they have the Blue Cross, all that stuff, or they call themselves the Cross, I think is another one besides Black Label. But yeah, no, it's just all of the super soldiers out there and all of the weird ones for people to die. They only ever kill bad guys. So when do you become a bad guy for killing bad guys? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the whole moral dilemma.
Yeah. I was once told that even an axe when chopping through wood becomes dull. It was essentially, hey, be the tree, fight back in a way that doesn't hurt them too much. Like, they'll get tired of beating on you, essentially. Doesn't make sense.
Well, most of this anime didn't make sense. Most of it was actually just, it felt like it was a hodgepodge of like several different stories thrown together. And then, then that was it.
For some weird reason, they're all like school-age kids. Not just school-aged kids, but like junior, sophomore in high school.
Only 2 of them are.
Well, 3 technically. The incendiary girl.
Or yeah, they actually never specified her age, like, at all.
But she was a transfer student into them.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, let's see here. Let's pull it up real quick. Oriha, yeah, she was 14.
What?
Yeah, she was 14. Explosions girl is 14 years old with some giant knockers.
Dear Lord, what about the incendiary girl?
Let's find out. Chikage? That's who you're talking about, right?
Yep.
The whatever her.
Yes, sir.
They don't specify her age. I can't find her age, but I would assume since she's in the same class as Mikoto, and Mikoto is 17 years old.
I hope to God that she's over the age of whatever is legal, because she's getting regular beef injections, according to one of the bad guys that died. And more to the point, her backstory was really messed up, but I really didn't care when she died.
Yeah, I felt the same way, sadly, because even after they revealed her backstory, she was pretty messed up. Even after she was almost killed by the guy that had quote unquote saved her life.
Yeah,
He tried killing her, and even then, she wanted to still be with him. Just
they be crazy in this one. That's all I can say. Those girls be crazy.
Oh yeah. It's just really sad. Just really, really sad. Really, really bad all the way through. And honestly, this whole story, it kind of has a plot you can kind of follow all the way through it with, but at the same time, there really isn't much of a plot or story that you can follow through with all the way through. It's really bad.
They've got an overview. I mean, what they're trying to do is good and vague, to say the very least. And once you have an idea where you're like, all right, I got this. This is a no-brainer. They come in with a different thing that they're trying to do, and you just, I don't know. You just don't feel attached because you're expecting them all to die, you know?
Yeah.
And when it finally goes to the end, you're like, I was expecting this. I was like, all right, I guess there's season 2 coming. But even still, it was not a good ending. It was a very abrupt beginning. They threw you in it. No, they didn't give you any warning. It didn't feel like someone who had experience was doing this. Because even though it was only 10 episodes long, it was a kind of crappy 10 episodes, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty shoddy 10 episodes. And episode 10, in all honesty, wasn't really an episode. It was more like an overview episode. And half of it took place in a bathhouse. And you finally did hear about a different label other than black. They have a red label as well.
And yeah, they do show they do tell you what the red label was. And it was essentially, he's a petty criminal. We got nothing for him. Give him to the cops, let them to interrogate him. Let's just get him off the. But I don't know. Like it was not fulfilling, I guess, because at the very end, Arashi is walking away from the scene of what I would consider to be the crime. They stopped the red label guy because when they finally caught up to the red label, he had a chick in the back, and she, of course, was in a bad way. But they end up taking her to the hospital, and Arashi has to walk back. And as he's walking back, the little kid's walking right next to him, and the kid asks Arashi, "Did you find what you were looking for?" And Arashi goes, "No, but I think I'm on the right path to find it." And that was it. Play credits. I'm like, that sucked.
Yeah.
That was very unfulfilling.
It was very unfulfilling. I gotta say though, his body armor, I would love.
Is the shit.
It is. Standing in front of like 8 guys, all of them shooting you, and he's just like standing there getting pegged left and right, including the face mask that he has on him. It's ridiculous. I would love.
Remember, it's a polyethylene. It's a polyfiber mask, so it's lightweight but durable. They go out of their way to say that. You realize that, right? You remember?
Yeah. I mean, like it can withstand bullets, like everything else.
I'm sure it'll bounce off. They won't bend, fracture. His suit isn't wearing whatever it was, polyurethane material. And even if it was, it stops bullets. It doesn't stop the kinetic power of the bullets, oozed from head to toe.
It's just proof positive how awesome he is, that he could withstand all those shots being simultaneously hitting him and him just go, yeah, what now?
Dude, I just thought of something. Imagine someone did a groin shot with a gun. He's not wearing any protective armor down there.
Well, why would someone want to do that?
Because they're a bad. He was getting shot up everywhere. You saw him looking like he was dancing in a weird way when they're riddling him with a machine gun bullet. I assume they're not as accurate as it was a spray and pray, essentially. Just throw everything in his jar. On one of the missions, at least one, he's been hit in the groin.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Just the odds are forever in his ball's favor of getting hit. And I cringe a little just thinking about it. Just a little bit. Because the kinetic force, that should have killed him. Like the kinetic force of getting, if you kick someone in the balls hard enough, you'll die. That is a donkey kick. Dead on.
Oh, yeah.
Dead on. Like, he's superhuman just because he didn't die from that. Dear Lord. What a conundrum. What I was just, what a conundrum of an anime. Because I want to say it's bad, but,
it's magical.
I'm gonna say it's bad.
It's bad.
Magical, yeah.
It's magically bad. How bad this was. I mean, you're introduced to several different bad guys. You're really trying hard to make sure that everything is good all the way through, and they just flounder. I mean, the primary point of this whole show was just basically to have anime knockers thrown at you at every chance they got, and that was about it. Half the time they are focusing on that anyways, half the time.
While they're talking. But no, check it out. So there was a method of directing or method of storytelling that they could have used here. I actually just recently read this. There's two forms of information, showing and telling. In this anime, all they did was tell. They didn't show. And in other anime, they show rather than tell. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, there usually is a finer balance. I think this one just went more opposite direction.
Yeah. True. But yeah, this is just me trying to flex my intellectual muscles.
Yeah, okay. I mean, honestly, there's really not much more that we can actually say about this show.
Badly.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So on a scale of up to 10, how would you rate this?
From 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 3.
All right. Is it because you didn't get to see it uncensored? Is that it?
No, unfortunately, I think if I saw it uncensored, I would have to rank it lower because I did. When you told me I'm a guy, I went back and I watched an episode, and those were exciting.
They were everywhere.
I preferred the mystery.
half the series was a mystery. Half the series was a mystery.
Right. One more thing. So whenever they chopped a limb off, instead of blood squirting everywhere, like I'm sure happened in the uncensored version, in this version, it was just a black circle covering the part that was cut off. And while the other part, the arm was falling away, a black circle following. So just quality animation.
Indeed. It was truly magnificent in the quality that they did. So you rated it a 3. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to rate this. I'm going to actually mirror you on this. I'm going to rate it a 3 as well.
Ooh, you're going to marry me. Nice.
Oh yeah. The reason why I'm going to mirror you on the rating is because I want a good story with good animation. They focused heavily on the chest for the animation, and that was about it. For the story, it really was lackluster. They didn't go into the finer details of it. It felt like it was slapped together with some duct tape. And then on top of that, the last episode really wasn't even a real episode. It was more of an overview of it, and then that was it.
Sad.
It was sad.
Well, on to bigger and better things. What is your choice next week? Because it is indeed.
It is my choice next week. And what came up on the random wheel for us was Hackadoll The Animation. It's 13 episodes long, comedy, ecchi, fantasy, sci-fi for the genres. And each episode, from what I can tell, is only about 9 minutes long. So they're going to be shorties. So that'll be pretty interesting. 2 weeks in a row for me that we ended up getting mini shows.
I'm starting to see a pattern, sir.
Yeah. If only I was choosing this on purpose.
Oh, man. So, all right. Sounds good. And yeah, what's it about?
That's a great question. I don't know. But I do have something to announce. I am working very hard on making sure that we get all the past episodes up on YouTube. You'll be able to find us on there at Featured Anime Podcast. And I'm working on it. I think I have about 23 episodes up right now, 24, if I remember correctly, around there. More to come out by the end of the week. I should have almost all of them up, including the most recent one, which will be this one. Until next time, though, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us at featuredanimepodcast@gmail.com. If you've seen any of the shows that we have seen, if you've seen next week's choice, or if you have a recommendation, or if you feel like we missed something, feel free to let us know. You can also join us on our Discord server. Link is in the show notes. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Those Anime Guys. Until next time, I'm Jack.
And I'm Rick. And we'll see you next time.